Ever find yourself looking really closely at your front teeth in the mirror? Maybe, thinking about the shape or the color and wondering, what can I actually do about that?
Hmm. Happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. If that sounds like you, well, you're in the right place today. We're doing a deep dive into one really common option for those front teeth, veneers. Are they the right choice?
Exactly. And we've got some good info to guide us. First, there's an article called The Pros and Cons of Veneers as a Front Tooth Replacement Option. Pretty direct.
Right to the point.
Yeah. It lays out the good and the not so good. And we also looked at the About Us page for Omni Dental. They're in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Okay, so a real-world dental practice.
Right. Gives us some context, shows a place that actually offers these services, including veneers.
Gotcha. So our mission today really is to help you get your head around veneers for front teeth. We'll unpack the benefits, look hard at the drawbacks, all based on these sources. Hopefully by the end, you'll feel clearer.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning.
Yeah.
What are veneers exactly?
Okay, so think of them like super thin shells,
Yeah.
custom made. They're usually porcelain, sometimes a composite resin material.
Shells, like covers.
Pretty much. They get bonded, like glued right onto the front surface of your tooth, just the front.
Ah, okay. Not the whole tooth.
Nope. And the whole point is just improving how that tooth looks. It's shape, size, color, cosmetic stuff.
Makes sense. They seem really popular for that kind of smile makeover thing.
Oh, definitely. Very popular in cosmetic dentistry, especially for those front teeth everyone sees.
All right, so if someone's thinking, okay, maybe, what's involved? Like, what's the process of actually getting them?
Well, it's usually a couple of visits. The dentist first has to prepare the tooth. This means removing a tiny, tiny amount of the enamel from the front.
Removing enamel. Does that hurt?
It shouldn't. It's a very thin layer. It's mainly to make space so the veneer doesn't feel bulky, and it helps it bond better. Then they take an impression, like a mold of your tooth. That goes off to a dental lab.
And the lab makes the actual veneer.
Exactly. Custom made just for you. Then you go back, and the dentist bonds that veneer onto your prepared tooth using a really strong dental cement.
Okay. Sounds pretty precise. Now let's get into the good stuff. Why do people choose veneers? What are the big advantages?
Well, the biggest draw for most people is the instant result. Like, bam, your tooth looks better. If it was misshapen, stained, maybe a little gapped, veneers can fix that look really quickly.
Instant gratification for your smile.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And they aim for a very natural look. Good veneers blend right in. Another plus, especially with porcelain ones, is stain resistance.
Oh, better than natural teeth.
Often, yes. They resist coffee, tea, red wine stains quite well, so easier to keep them looking bright.
That's a nice perk.
And one more thing sometimes, for people with sensitive teeth, that veneer layer can actually act like a bit of a shield. It might reduce sensitivity.
Interesting. Okay, those are definitely strong points. But, there's always a but. What are the downsides? The cons?
Absolutely. Cost is a big one. Veneers aren't cheap. They're often considered cosmetic.
Meaning insurance probably won't cover much, right?
That's usually the case, yeah. You're likely paying mostly out of pocket. And remember that enamel removal we talked about?
Yeah, the permanent part.
Right. It is permanent. And taking off even that thin layer can sometimes make the tooth more sensitive to hot or cold, at least for a while. For some, it might persist.
Okay, so potential sensitivity is a risk.
It is. And finally, longevity. They don't last forever. You're typically looking at maybe 10 to 15 years before they might need replacing.
10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's an investment you'll likely have to make again down the line.
Exactly. That's definitely something to factor into the decision.
Right. Okay, so the article specifically mentions them as a front tooth replacement option. How do they actually compare to other ways you might fix a front tooth? Like, say, a dental crown.
Good comparison. They both improve the look, but they're for different situations, really. Crowns are usually for teeth that are much more damaged.
Like broken or lots of decay.
Yeah, or maybe after a root canal. Crowns cover the entire tooth, like a cap. They provide more structural support. They can even hold a bridge in place.
Ah, okay. So much more heavy duty.
Right. Veneers are more for the surface, the cosmetic side, when the tooth itself is still pretty sound structurally.
And you mentioned veneers only need a little enamel removed from the front.
Correct. Much less tooth reduction than for a crown, which needs the tooth shaped down on all sides. So veneers are less invasive in that sense.
Got it. Less invasive, more cosmetic. Crowns are for bigger problems. What about materials?
Veneers are typically porcelain, maybe composite. Crowns can be porcelain too, but also porcelain fused to metal, zirconia, all ceramic.
Yeah.
More options depending on the need.
And durability.
Well, porcelain veneers look great, very natural, resist stains, but they can be a bit more prone to chipping than, say, a strong zirconia crown, something to be careful about.
Okay. How about comparing veneers to dental implants? That seems like a whole different ballgame.
It really is. Implants are for when the tooth is completely gone or needs to be taken out. It's a true replacement.
Like they put something in the bone.
Exactly. A titanium post goes into your jawbone, acts like a root, and then a crown goes on top of that. It's a surgical procedure.
Whoa. Okay, definitely different from a veneer just covering an existing tooth.
Totally different. Implants are more permanent, function just like a natural tooth, but yeah, it's surgery, more healing time, and usually significantly more expensive too.
So implants replace missing teeth, veneers enhance existing ones.
Yeah.
Got it. One more comparison. Traditional dentures.
Right, dentures, these are usually removable, right? Especially if you're replacing several front teeth.
Yeah, my grandpa had those.
Okay, well, the main difference is stability. Dentures can sometimes slip or feel loose, which can affect eating or talking. Veneers are bonded on, they don't move.
Much more secure feeling, I imagine.
Definitely. And maintenance is different too. Dentures need taking out, cleaning, sometimes adjustments. Veneers, you basically care for them like your other teeth, maybe just being a bit cautious with really hard foods.
Less hassle day to day, maybe.
Yeah.
But dentures might replace multiple teeth at once more easily.
Potentially, yes. But veneers feel more natural, less bulky than a denture plate might.
Okay, that clarifies the alternatives.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Omni Dental in Arlington Heights. How do they fit into this picture again?
Well, they're a concrete example. Their website lists veneers right there as a service they offer, alongside crowns, implants, dentures, the things we just talked about.
So they handle all these options.
Seems so. They're located at 305E Rand Road, and their site says they focus on helping patients figure out the best option for their specific situation. Personalized care.
Makes sense. What else did you glean from their site?
It mentions Dr. Billis Poles, DDS, leads the practice. They talk about using advanced tech, offering a wide range of services beyond just cosmetic stuff, general dentistry, etc.
So a comprehensive practice.
It's like it. They list their hours, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and their phone number is 847-483-8833. Basically, they present themselves as a resource if you are in that area and want to explore these front tooth options.
Okay, good to know. A place where someone could actually go and have this exact conversation, but about their own teeth.
Precisely. That's the idea. They seem set up to guide people through these kinds of decisions.
All right, let's sort of pull this all together as we wrap up. What are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive on veneers for front teeth?
I think it boils down to balancing the pros and cons. The pros are pretty compelling. That quick aesthetic fix, the natural look, the stain resistance, maybe some sensitivity protection.
Big visual impact.
For sure. But then you have to weigh the cons. The cost, which can be substantial and often not covered by insurance. The fact that enamel removal is permanent.
No, going back on that.
Right. And knowing they aren't forever, you'll likely need to replace them in, 10 or 15 years, which means more cost and procedure time later.
So it's really about whether those aesthetic gains are worth the cost, the permanent alteration, and the future commitment.
Exactly. And it's crucial to think about why you need something. Is it purely cosmetic for a basically healthy tooth? Veneers might be great. Is the tooth damaged or missing? Then crowns or implants are probably the better conversation to have.
So you really need to know the state of your tooth and your goals.
Absolutely. It's super individual. Your budget, your dental health, what you hope to achieve it all plays a part.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Yeah.
When you're considering something like veneers, which sits right where cosmetics meets long-term dental health, how do you personally weigh that desire for a perfect look against maybe needing a more structurally sound or even longer-lasting solution down the line? Where does that balance lie for you?
That's a really good question to ponder. No easy answer there.